Scientists just used AI to uncover 86,000 hidden earthquakes beneath Yellowstone, 10 times more than anyone realized. But does this mean an eruption is coming? The truth about what's happening underground will surprise you, and it's not what the headlines say. The biggest Yellowstone story to come out recently wasn't about one big earthquake, but tens of thousands of tiny ones we never even knew were happening. In a groundbreaking study, researchers applied artificial intelligence to 15 years of seismic data. Before this, seismologists had to spot earthquakes by hand from the squiggly lines on a seismograph, a painstaking process that naturally misses the faintest tremors. By using a machine learning model to reanalyze that old data, the results were staggering. The AI uncovered 86,276 earthquakes between 2008 and 2022, 10 times more than had been previously cataloged. It's like a doctor getting a powerful new stethoscope that could suddenly hear the faintest heart murmurs that were always there. This doesn't mean the patient is suddenly sicker. It just means our ability to hear the system took a giant leap forward. This new high-definition map gives scientists a much clearer picture of the plumbing system deep underground. A key finding was that over half of these tiny quakes were part of swarms, revealing the chaotic movement of water and gas through fractures deep in the earth. But does a tenfold increase in known earthquakes mean a tenfold increase in risk? According to the scientists who found them, the answer is a firm no. So, with this new data, why isn't everyone panicking? It feels like every few months a new headline flashes across our screens. Earthquakes swarm at Yellowstone, sparking fresh fear. Think of it like this. A tourist might feel a tiny tremor and it becomes breaking news. But what they're feeling isn't a warning siren, it's the steady heartbeat of a living, breathing volcanic system. Let's look at the facts. The Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, or YVO, confirms that Yellowstone normally has between 700 and 3,000 earthquakes every single year, most of which are too small for a person to even feel. These numbers don't make scientists raise an eyebrow. The fear is understandable. We know that about 631,000 years ago, a monster eruption blew out 1,000 cubic kilometers of rock, carving out the massive crater the park sits in today. The thought of a repeat is terrifying, but the alarming headlines often tell just a fraction of the story. When it comes to Yellowstone, there are two sources you need to trust above all others: the US Geological Survey and the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. These are the folks watching the volcano 24/7. These organizations run a massive network of seismometers, GPS stations, and gas sensors, all designed to catch the slightest hint of change. Their official position is clear and consistent. The current volcano alert level for Yellowstone is normal, and the aviation color code is green. That's the lowest possible level, meaning the volcano is in its normal non-eruptive state. In recent updates, the YVO has repeatedly stated that activity remains at background levels. Any post you see online claiming a red alert has been issued is pure misinformation. A red alert level has a specific meaning. It indicates that an eruption is imminent or already happening with significant ash emission. We are nowhere near that. And those viral videos of animals supposedly fleeing the park in a panic? They've been debunked time and time again. The experts on the ground are calm. So, if all these thousands of quakes aren't a sign of doom, what's causing them? It's a common mistake to assume that every earthquake at a volcano is caused by magma pushing its way to the surface. An easy way to understand it is to think about the noises a car makes. First, you have regional tectonic faults. Yellowstone is an active part of the country. These quakes are like the car hitting bumps on the road. They shake things up, but they have nothing to do with the engine itself. Second, you have the movement of magma. These are the quakes scientists watch like a hawk. This is the equivalent of the car's engine suddenly revving violently and lurching forward. It's a clear sign of trouble, however, there are currently no signs that magma is moving towards the surface. The third cause, and by far the most common at Yellowstone, is the movement of superheated water and gas. This is like the car's radiator and cooling system. It hisses, gurgles, and makes noises as fluids circulate to manage the engine's heat. This is the source of most of the swarms. They're a sign of the hydrothermal system doing its job, not the volcanic engine revving up to blow. Another vital sign that scientists track is ground deformation. Using ultra-sensitive GPS, they can measure millimeter-scale changes in the ground's elevation. If a huge blob of magma were actually pushing its way upward, you'd expect to see the ground above it swell like a balloon. Between 2004 and 2008, the caldera floor did rise by as much as 8 inches in some spots, which definitely got scientists' attention, but for the better part of the last decade, the trend has been slow and steady subsidence, or sinking, on the order of a few millimeters to a couple of centimeters per year. This movement is so subtle it even has a seasonal breathing pattern. In the summer, as the immense weight of the winter snowpack melts away, the ground rises slightly. This breathing of the caldera is a well-understood pattern. The key takeaway is that we see no evidence of the rapid widespread uplift that would scream magma on the move. Alright, let's get right to it. Is a volcanic eruption at Yellowstone imminent? According to the overwhelming consensus of scientists at the USGS and YVO, the answer is no. A catastrophic super eruption is not on the horizon. The odds of one happening in any given year are incredibly low. Rough estimates put it somewhere around 1 in several 100,000, similar to the odds of a civilization-altering asteroid impact. That popular idea that Yellowstone is overdue for an eruption? It's a myth that scientists are constantly trying to correct. Volcanoes don't run on a schedule like a train. The last major eruption was 631,000 years ago, but the one before that was 2.1 million years ago. There's no regular predictable pattern here. For the alert level to even begin to shift, scientists would need to see a specific cocktail of symptoms all at once. We're talking strong earthquake swarms getting shallower, rapid ground uplift, major changes in gases, and big shifts in geyser activity. But none of that is happening. The magma chamber below isn't a giant cavern of molten lava. It's more like a mostly frozen slushy, a vast area of hot but mostly solid rock with small pockets of melt. You can't erupt a slushy. Just because a super eruption isn't coming doesn't mean Yellowstone is perfectly safe. The more likely and more immediate risk comes from its powerful hydrothermal system. Hydrothermal explosions, while not volcanic, can be dangerous. Think of a pressure cooker with a blocked valve. They happen when superheated water trapped underground flashes to steam, causing a violent blast that can hurl rocks and boiling water. These aren't just hypothetical. A huge hydrothermal explosion 13,800 years ago created the Mary Bay crater on the edge of Yellowstone Lake, which is over 3 miles across. More recently, minor hydrothermal and geyser activity has been observed at features like Black Diamond Pool and Steamboat Geyser. The world's tallest has continued its powerful, sporadic eruptions in recent years. The most probable hazard you'd actually face at Yellowstone isn't the volcano, but a strong regional earthquake or a localized steam explosion. These are the real, present dangers that scientists are also working hard to understand. The story of Yellowstone is a classic battle between spectacle and science. The image of a continent-altering supervolcano is powerful and scary, but it's just not the reality we're living in. The constant earthquake swarms and the incredible discovery of all those hidden quakes aren't signs of a coming disaster. Instead, they are the gurgles and hisses of the volcano's vast plumbing system, vital clues that help us understand the normal workings of one of the most dynamic places on Earth. The data shows a system that's breathing with the seasons and humming with the energy of hot water, not one that's building towards an eruption. The scientists at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory are watching, listening, and sharing everything they learn. And right now, all the evidence points to one conclusion: the giant beneath Yellowstone sleeps on. If you want to stay plugged into fact-based, no-hype updates on Yellowstone and other amazing science stories from around the globe, make sure you subscribe. Science is the best tool we have to separate fear from fact, and we'll be here to break it all down for you. Thanks for watching.